What is up, y'all? So you've just tuned into Tanaka TV, the best and future biggest fight channel on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that like, that comment, that subscribe button. As you can see, I have my main setup back up and running. Thank you guys who've supported me through the time of me kind of using all of my off equipment, and that off equipment is my cell phone, and I have a Rode mic that I use. And so thank you for the support as I downgraded in quality. I still kept the quality of content up, but you know the visuals and the audio was at a down for a moment there. But we're gonna get right into it, people. Like I said, thank you for tuning in. Today we're gonna talk about Aljamain Sterling versus Calvin Kattar, and I think everybody knows a good amount about Aljamain Sterling at this point. As you may know, or as you should know, he was the former bantamweight champion of the UFC. And so when I look at Aljamain Sterling and the fights that he's been through, and I look at Calvin Kattar and the fights he's been through over the course of the last maybe 2 years or so, first of all, I want to say that I have Aljamain Sterling winning this fight. I think just because Aljamain Sterling has that loss to Sean O'Malley, I think that doesn't take away the greatness that I think Aljamain Sterling has when it comes to the fight game. I think Aljamain Sterling is a much more complete fighter. I think over the course of the last 2 years, we've really seen Aljamain Sterling upgrade his striking style, and I think that that's a big plus for Aljamain, and I think that's what helped him beat Henry Cejudo amongst his phenomenal grappling, his phenomenal ability to grapple was really displayed when he went up against Henry Cejudo, which a lot of us thought that Henry Cejudo was just going to run through him probably when it came to the wrestling. We're talking about a gold medalist in wrestling in Henry Cejudo. And now that's no diss to Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling is a phenomenal wrestler, but it's hard to compare yourself to the echelon of grappler of which Henry Cejudo is. And then, but I mean, outside of that, outside of losing to Sean O'Malley, he beat Henry Cejudo. He beat T.J. Dillashaw. He beat Peter Yan. That is a solid list, and those are the elite of the elite in that division. Now, Calvin Kattar, I think that he is a game fighter. I think that he always comes to bring the fight for the most part. I think that you're always expecting to see a really solid performance from Calvin Kattar. I just think that these two gentlemen are at a different level, and I think Aljamain Sterling is a level or two above. I think this is meant to be a bounce back fight for Aljamain Sterling, just to try to get him back, on the horse of the winning column. And that is no diss to Calvin Kattar. I think Calvin Kattar is a phenomenal fighter. Let's see. So Calvin Kattar's last fights, he went up against Arnold Allen. He lost. He went up against Josh Emmett, who has been looking amazing lately. He lost to Josh Emmett. And Calvin Kattar's last win, he beat Giga Chikadze. I probably ate that name up, but that was his last win. And then before that, he lost to Max Holloway. As we know, I think that was a very, very good performance by Max Holloway, probably one of his best. But Calvin Kattar gave him that fight. Calvin Kattar came to fight, and I think that that's something that is underrated when it comes to him. Calvin Kattar's striking is phenomenal. I think Calvin Kattar's ability to stay on his feet is pretty decent. I think his grappling is decent, but I don't think he's as complete of a fighter as Aljamain Sterling. Now, do I see Aljamain Sterling possibly being a champion again? I wouldn't count him out. I wouldn't count him out, but I do consider Calvin Kattar to be kind of a gatekeeper in that 135-pound division. And so I'm looking for this to be a fairly competitive fight, at least in the beginning. But I think as Aljamain Sterling puts on that pressure, I think that it's going to be a finish by Aljamain Sterling. With that being said, how do I see this fight going? I think Aljamain Sterling is going to put on the pressure. I think he's going to out-wrestle Calvin Kattar. I think that Calvin Kattar is not going to be able to do really much of anything when it comes to the grappling department against Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling is going to make him feel the weight of his grappling. He's going to put that pressure on Calvin Kattar, and he's going to eventually exhaust or find himself in an unfortunate scrambling situation, because I think Aljamain Sterling is one of the best scramblers in the UFC, period. Period. I think that he's one of the best in any division. I think if we're going to mention scrambling ability, Aljamain Sterling is up there. He's at the top echelon. And so he's going to find himself in a bad spot with Aljamain Sterling, and Aljamain Sterling is going to end up, I think, choking him out, getting him in an armbar, some sort of submission, and that's how I see this fight going. Comment down below, people, what you think about this fight and how you see this fight going. I'm going to assume that you're going to see it going pretty similar to how I'm calling this fight. Best of luck to Calvin Kattar. If I had to give the percentage of how I think this fight's going to go, I have it going 80-20, 80% chance of Aljamain Sterling winning. Now, I'm never going to hand out 100%, people. I don't think that there's ever a fight that will be 100% going anybody's route. That's not how the fight game works. Even if a person is a 90-10, they have a 90% chance of winning. There is that 10% chance of zigging and when you should have zagged and you losing the match. That's just how the fight game goes, but that's why I love the fight game, because there is no 100% that you can hand out. But an 80-20 is a big deal, people. If I were to put money on it, I would put a lot of money on Aljamain Sterling. But like I said, Calvin Kattar, he comes to fight. And so, like I said, comment down below, people, what you think about this fight matchup. There are a lot of big fights coming up in the UFC, and I'm kind of excited for what this new year is going to bring as far as fights go. And just a little side note, I can't wait to see Jon Jones back. I know Dana White was making the statement of saying that he doesn't want these two gentlemen to retire without having to fight each other. And I'm looking forward to that as well. And I think fight fans are too, but the older they get, the less chance we have of seeing these two gentlemen getting into the octagon together. And so I wish Jon Jones a speedy recovery. You know, I don't want to ever see this kind of injury from anybody. And so we're going to see how that plays out. But hopefully we'll get to see them fight sometime later next year. And so that's just a side note, people. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Like I said, don't forget to hit that like, that comment, that subscribe button. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one.